This is reflection for the weekend, June 10, Saturday, and then Sunday I took off. I'm recognizing it took me a little bit to actually drop into what happened on Saturday. So I'm recognizing the value of the immediacy of doing it either at night or directly the next morning. Saturday and Sunday, I had a circle with someone I haven't seen since I stepped into this space on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I saw a couple of friends, got some coffee and some lunch and whatnot. And one of the major themes in all of those, as well as a couple of other times I've interacted with people, is how much synergy seems to be happening when a lot of people are very curious about how I'm doing and how the process has been. When I go through explaining what's going on, there's a lot of, man, it sounds a lot like what I'm going through. I had this experience at this same time on this same day type of thing. The person I was circling with was mentioning that they had on Tuesday afternoon, they just had this hit a flow state and were in it and really dropped in. And pretty much around the same time that I did the meditation that I had mentioned on the Tuesday reflection, and then was super connected for the rest of the day. And my mind goes to wanting to make meaning of that. Like, what does that mean? I definitely feel a sense of collective energy, collective field, definitely feel in the spirit. And so, maybe there are energetic shifts that happen and that we all kind of get impacted by, or is it maybe more on a local level where the people that I interact with, inevitably our energies get entangled. And so when one of us rides a wave in some way, a lot of us feel it. Or somewhere in between. So that's been not surprising. That's semi-common for life, but I think it's a little bit amplified with just how many people are going through similar things. It also brings in a sense of the human experience can be so different, can be so, my life compared to the life of a woman in an African tribe, even just modern, let alone then add in an era difference, can be so different, so wildly different, to the point of interacting with reality differently on a perceptual level. But then at the same time, that there are a lot of similarities, that there are a lot of things, and then especially if you grow up in the same culture in the same time and all, there's a lot of parallels that it's just like, yeah, we have a camaraderie in all being human, that in a lot of ways being human comes with difficulty and physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual aspects. And there's a uniqueness, but there's also a sameness. What I reflected on for last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, with all of the imagining I was doing, it continued throughout the weekend, but not as much, but really went into it and continued to feel into it, and then tried to integrate it with the game of presence. And the two aspects of those things I can sense are, like, I don't know how to, they're kind of beginner dance partners is what it feels like. Like, they know how to do their things separately, but they together, it's like, oh, they're a little clunky on the dance floor. it's like, oh, this one wants to lead, but then this one wants to lead, and then this one's like, do that, and the other one's like, and then. But then when they get into a stride, it's beautiful. It's like, whoa, there it is. And that happened on Sunday. Because again, Sunday I take the day off. Do I still play the game of presence? And is it a continuation of things? Definitely. So on Sunday, I continued to do the imagination and presence in. Went and saw a movie. And then just after the movie, when I came out, I was effortlessly present, effortlessly connected. It was a moment of, oh, this is working. Like this. It just came on and was wonderful. Just, oh yeah, I could stay here all day. So I'm excited that these two are learning to dance together. Excited to see where it's going to go. And it's already started to impact today. Like today's Monday. I was talking about on the last reflection how my imagination and really embodied imagination, I think, is what I'm going to start calling it, because it's not like I'm just off in some other world. It's very felt. It's sensual. It's energetic. It's emotional. That learning to dance with feeling this moment, feeling this time and space, being here, being in the room. Am I in the room? Being in the room. Coming together and learning to harmoniously cohabitate, but to dance together, and how they aren't the best dance partners yet. They're learning how to support each other, to lead, but to be led. And one of the impacts that's already had, other than deep feeling and amplifying my energetic sensitivity pretty quickly, which has been awesome, is today I woke up and I just had this sense of wanting routine. Not super strict routine, but for the first 7 weeks, this is the beginning of week 8, it's just been, I wake up and whatever I do. Just no plan. And in some ways, that was very needed and welcome and helped me land, because the space was just naturally intense and I needed it. I couldn't add any intensity to it. I couldn't then add structure. And I think a note on that is partially because, remember when I had to learn the space, I had to learn what it was going to be like trying to apply myself 24/7 to this, and where my limits were, and how much I judged myself and don't trust myself, or didn't trust myself in this process. And I had to learn all of that. I had to come into contact with all that. I had to try to push the limits in order to recognize, yeah, you can push them only so far. But now I'm waking up, I woke up today and there's just a sense of like, okay, for the next phase, whether that's another 7 weeks or if it lasts longer than that or whatever, I want to do more of a scheduled day, because there are things that I've touched in on this last 7 weeks, like some, yoga and primal movement for starters, some music that I've done a little bit of, but not much at all, actually. And then there's other things that I've been more consistent with. And so I want to be more consistent with certain things. And so I wrote out a rough schedule. The morning's a little bit more structured, and then the rest of the day is just like pockets of time. So I guess to briefly share what it is that I wrote down, which isn't right next to me, it was on my laptop. One of the things that has just been incredibly helpful in all of this and nourishing and connecting and everything is music, just dancing to music and listening to music and utilizing that in my imagination time. And so wake up, and I've been waking up way later than I used to. I used to get up at 7 every day, but now I'm more of a 9 wake up. And so wake up around 9. And for the first half hour of the day, dance. Just dance. And just really let out the goof monster in the dance. Just the 10-year-old that's told to let loose. So I did that today, and it was freaking great. I loved it. Did that for a half hour, and then I did there's a YouTube channel, I think it's called, I'll get the name later. Definitely want to give them props. I like their stuff. It's primal movement type stuff. So I did some stretching, and then I did some movement. And that felt good. It felt like I needed it, especially I just need to take care of my posterior chain, my lower back, and my hamstrings more, my posture more. And that's a lot of what it focused on, which was great. So that'll be the first hour of the day, is dance into movement, into primal movement and stretching. And then I went into an hour of meditation. I went over an hour today, but the schedule is just going to be kind of roughly an hour. And I did Kriya Yoga today. And so that first 2 hours felt great. And then I didn't follow 100% past that, but what I scheduled next is food. Just make the smoothie, go out, make smoothie for my mom, have smoothie. And then the next section of the day is just nature. And that can mean all sorts of things. Going to walk, going to hike, going to run, going to swim. Just get in the sun, get some good sun rays. And then music. And that can also mean play drums, play flute, sing, but really engage with it as an activity, and not as much dancing, but more of wanting to build I ordered a flute. It's not here yet, but I have a drum, so I'll do some drumming until that gets here, and then really want to hone a skill. I used to play drums. I don't. I riff on the little djembe from time to time, but it's not anything consistent or something I'd say I'm skilled at or highly skilled at. And then food again after several hours of that, and then after that more time in nature, but really less just kind of walking or whatever it might be. Probably a little bit slower time in nature. Art, and so art, drawing, could be some design stuff, and then I'm putting reading and writing in there. So I've officially reincorporated reading and writing, because I'm recognizing that also nourishes me, and in this process, what's become abundantly clear as I dropped into this space was how much I had disconnected from certain activities as a form of expression, self-expression, a form of nourishment, as a form of love, as a form of adding to the beauty of the world and living artfully. And instead they had just become ways of coping. ways of numbing. Not all of them and not all the time, but there was a slippery slope between, okay, I watched a movie and it felt great and it inspired me. Okay, now I want to throw in another movie. And then by the time the second movie's done, I'm not as inspired. My body hurts because I've been sitting for 4 hours instead of 2. And it becomes this like, oh yeah, I took it too far. And I'm very good at doing that. As I'm sure most people are with some things. So bringing nourishment back in forms that are presencing. And also being way more gentle. Like I entered this space and I was not gentle. And it led me to a lot of pain, emotional pain, which was good. I actually needed that. It was helpful. It helped break open a part of me. A lot of tears have been coming. My heart is opening. There's more love there, more capacity for love, but there's also a lot more sadness coming through as a result, which I'm okay with. It actually feels welcome. So at this point, I think what I'm saying is that I'm trusting the process a lot more because it's moving stuff. Emotions, I'm opening my heart. Emotions are coming through. I'm processing pain that I haven't been able to before. My connection to spirit is come back online, whereas the first several weeks it really kind of got shut off. And I'm nourishing myself in the moments where my focus fatigues, where I can't it's just like, okay, and I meditated for X amount of hours and I was out in nature, and pretty much all my nature time is all game of presence. It's all walking meditation or hiking meditation or whatever. So it's like, okay, my 4 hours, 5 hours, my focus is fatigued. And so instead of battling after that to just stay present or stay focused, my mind just comes in and it just becomes chaos. And that's where a lot of the self-judgment and the needing to nourish comes in. And so that's where a lot of these other activities are now have come forth in a way, and they've kind of laid claim to hey, I am nourishing for you. And you now see that and understand that. And, we can structure that in so that your time on the game of presence and focus is in between these times of nourishment, but all of it's presencing and all of it's healthy, and it's all aligned with what you've been imagining. And that's the full circle right there. So all these activities are a part of what I've been imagining, and the reality that I want to draw to me is a reality where I'm fluent in music in a sense. I play a lot of music and it feels good in its expression of self and of spirit. My body feels great. It looks good. There's a vibrancy to it. I am deeply connected. I have great relationships. My heart is open and incredibly loving. And so it's the dance of the embodied imagination and the game of presence which is all the game of presence, now that I say that out loud, in a sense. They're coming together and it's impacting my actions. And that's just after really 4 days, because it started on Wednesday with really letting my imagination go free. To Saturday, and I guess Sunday too. So yeah, it feels good. It feels good. All right, I'm gonna go make some food and get in nature.